Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Yesterday I did the video on the death of Steven Twitch Boss, the DJ of the Ellen DeGeneres show, and showed the parallels between his passing and also the death of Heche, who's Ellen's ex from earlier this year. Some people left some really great comments, and apparently there was another woman connected to the Ellen show who died just last month. Rosalyn Singleton, we'll go back and look at that. She was dying from cancer, but there's something very interesting about the day she died, and it fit a larger pattern that we talked about last month. And then also I found out that Ellen's first ever lover, Ellen's a lesbian, her first lesbian girlfriend, died in a car crash June 26th, 1980. And I went back and looked at both of these things, and again, it fits the same pattern that we were talking about yesterday. So we're going to look at this. And there was a woman who also left a comment that said something to the effect of, you're running the alphabetic order forwards and backwards. You can probably make anything connect to anything by doing that. If you're new here, this is GematriaEffectNews. Gematria comes from Kabbalah. It's the practice of coding numbers into words. And some people leave comments like that, and I think, man, these people must be really bad at math, because if you think running something forwards and backwards, like the occultist Aleister Crowley wrote several books about, and he also wrote several books on Gematria, if you think running the alphabetic order forwards and backwards and using, a few ciphers allows you to connect anything you want, something's not working in your head because you're not understanding probability. These patterns that we're revealing are improbable. And yesterday we talked about how Heche died on the 201st day of Ellen's age, and how her DJ now died 201 days after the Ellen show ended, that he was the producer of at the end of the show. And we talked about how 201 is the number of the Jesuit order. Well, another very special number to the Jesuit order is 177. If you run the alphabetic order forwards, the Jesuit order is 177. If you run it in reverse, it's 201. And we talk about how often these two numbers intersect. Well, it turns out that the first ever death connected to Ellen happened on the 177th day of the year. And again, if you guys are new here and wondering about some other historical patterns, look into Event 201, the coronavirus pandemic simulation put on by the Jesuit Klaus Schwab, whose name equals 177. Look into the death of Captain Tom from COVID-19, who was knighted on 17/7 and then supposedly died 201 days later from COVID. And there's a lot more to his passing. And he also died one day after Burma's government fell, and he was known for the Burma campaign. But these numbers, 177 and 201, they intersect a lot. So yesterday we were looking at the 201s with the two deaths connected to Ellen, and now it turns out the first person who was ever connected to her that died on the 177th day of the year. And as we'll get to, that death was 42 years before these deaths in 2022. That was back when she was only 22 years old, Ellen was, in 1980. And again, she was 22 then. Now in 2022, there's actually been 3 deaths connected to her this year. 3 deaths in the year 22. And we know the latest was on her 322nd day of her age, like Kabbalah, which is represented by the Tree of Life, having 3 pillars and 22 paths. So let's go back in time to when Kat Perkoff died, Ellen's first lover. She was 23, the woman who passed. Ellen was 22 at the time. She'd turned 22 January 26, 1980. And from Ellen's birthday to the death of this woman, June 26th, was her 153rd day of her age. Jesuit order, 153. She died on June 26th, the date written 26/6. The Jesuit motto is Jesus Hominum Salvator, which equals 266. Just like how the first Jesuit pope is Pope Francis, the 266th pope, who spoke in D.C., the land of the Jesuits, on the 266th day of the year when he came to D.C. back in 2015. Now, again, June 26th, the 177th day of the year, leaving 188 days remaining. Again, the Jesuit order 177. Remember, the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt founded the Illuminati, and he ended up dying in history on the 322nd day of the year, 201 days after the anniversary of the order's establishment. Established May 1st, 1776. He died November 18th, 1830. Order of Illuminati, for the record, has the gematria of 201. And it was initially called the Bavarian Illuminati, if you look into the history of it. First called it Bavarian Illuminati, then changed the name to Order of Illuminati. In light of this woman dying on the day, leaving 188 days left in the year 80, just notice how Bavarian Illuminati is 188 and 80. If you write the Illuminati, it also equals 153. Again, the Jesuits, the Illuminati, one and the same. For the record, the Jesuits are originally from France. Ellen's from Louisiana, part of the French Purchase, and her hometown, the way you'd write it on an envelope, also has that 177, just for the record. She was back in Louisiana when her girlfriend also died in Louisiana, who had just left the French Quarter that night, where all the tourism is in New Orleans, as they say down there. And for the record, the day her girlfriend died, it had 112 numerology. Again, the Jesuits operate in 112 nations. Catholicism equals 112, as does mathematics. And again, how interesting that the first death connected to her when she's 22 years old. Jesuit 42 years later in 2022, all of these people connected to her pass. And with regards to Rosalyn Singleton, or Rosalyn Singleton, again, she was a frequent guest on Ellen's show. She died this year from cancer. And, I go back to what the leader of Venezuela said, about a decade ago, about how there's a cancer weapon out there. It's interesting how many celebrities get cancer and die rapidly in the world of entertainment, especially when there's a lot of treatments for people who are wealthy for cancer that are very successful at this day and age. But anyhow, her death was announced on November 17th. She did not die November 17th, but she was announced dead on November 17th. This is when all the headlines broke. And remember what we talked about on November 17th this year and what we talk about every year on November 17th. The 187 connection with the date. The date can be written 1117. 1117 is the 187th prime number, and the prime factorization of 187 is 11 times 17. So 1117 has a double connection to 187. It's interesting how her name has the same gematria as Society of Jesus. Doesn't mean she was a Jesuit. Again, there will be people who are given names that will have a number that will be coincidental, but to this psychopath order that does things by the numbers and ritualistically, they might choose you for that reason. So anyhow, she did not die on this day, but it was announced on this day. And just to remind you of a couple other headlines from November 17th of deaths that did happen that day, you had Brandon Smith, the R&B singer, dead November 17th. And I guess I just wrote it out here, but just to pull up the gematria calculator so you can verify it. His name, Brandon Smith, in the same cipher, 187. His name's also 56, like Society of Jesus. And the other death that day in the world of entertainment was the journalist Michael Gerson, who died on his 187th day of his age, 187. And he was born May 15th, died November 17th. Let me just plug this in for you. I got lazy with the screenshots in that one and just wrote it out, but he died 186 days after his birthday. Again, his 187th day of his age on 11/17, and also pretty young, 58 years old. The other man was 28 years old, very young. And Michael Gerson writes for the paper in D.C. Remember, D.C. is the land of the Jesuits. Washington, D.C. is 187. George Washington is 187, just like Society of Jesus is 187. Jesuits have been there longer than the federal government. Just yesterday was the anniversary of George Washington's death on 12/14 or December 14th. Notice if you write out 12/14, it's 187. And notice if you write out December 14th, it's 187. Of course, that number's associated with homicide. Dr. Dre helped a lot of people become familiar with that number in homicide. His son died years ago, 187 days after his birthday. Big pattern there. A lot of deaths in history at 187. Big one in D.C. recently was Ruth Bader Ginsburg, 187 days after her birthday, dying on the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah, only to be replaced by the Catholic Amy Coney Barrett. But here's the thing. But besides the death being announced on 11/17, she died on November 15th, which is the day leaving 46 days left in the year. We just talked about this yesterday with the death of Twitch on the first day of the 46th week of Ellen's age. Notice how in Gematria, sacrifice equals 46 forwards and 62 in reverse. Again, Genesis 46 begins with the sacrifice. By the way, the Abrahamic religions are all based in the Torah, which begins with Genesis. Notice how Abrahamic's 187. There's 187 chapters in the Torah. You see how Torah is 62, sacrifice is 46, in reverse, sacrifice is 62. This woman died on the day leaving 46 days left in the year, 62 days before her own birthday. And again, for the woman who came by and said, this is so dumb, running the alphabetic order forwards and backwards, are you serious? You could probably connect anything to anything. Again, it's annoying how many people come and watch a video for the first time and have this like violent reaction in words, talking about how stupid this is, and having no idea that I have like literally 50,000 decodes behind what I've been doing in the last decade. And that's not an exaggeration. That's about how many posts there's been showing these same patterns over and over. And again, just to think that because you're running it forwards and backwards, you can get a number as specific as 201. I mean, okay, if you have 4 chances to get 201, that means it's about a 1 in 50 chance, which is about 2%. So if a 2% thing lands twice in a row, that's 2% times 2%, which is the same as 1 in 50 times 1 in 50, which gives you 1 in 2,500 odds. Like if you had a raffle ticket and your chances of winning, that would be 1 out of 2,500 tickets. So would you say that's a good odds and you can probably just win every time? Again, these are essentially the statements that people come to my work and make all the time because they can't do math. You know, they have no concept of math. They pretty much came to my channel and said something that's improbable, you can probably connect every time. No, you cannot. And all of these numbers we're talking about are very specific numbers to the Jesuits. By the way, if you read about the Jesuits, they're known for killing people with arsenic. And isn't it interesting that arsenic poisoning equals 187? And again, how did they make it all line up? Well, again, who's the English language credited to? Oh, a Catholic monk. In what century was English standardized with the spellings we use today? Oh, in the 16th century, the same century the Jesuits were created and this calendar rolled out. I wonder how it all got synced up. Okay, so anyhow, this woman dies on the day leaving 46 days left in the year. 62 days before her own birthday, going with sacrifice. By the way, don't forget a deal with the devil's a Faustian bargain, which is another 62 word. You know, right now the 262nd pick of the NFL draft is the talk of the town in the National Fix League. Talking about Brock Purdy, whose name equals 133 and who made his team 13-3 at home versus the Bucs all time, as number 13 rushed in the 13th points of the game. NFL 13. Just another day in the National Fix League. But anyway, notice from Ellen's birthday to this woman's death was exactly 42 weeks into her age. And of course, in my first book, Letters and Numbers, if you guys are new here and you think this is dumb, please go to my website, GematriaEffect.News. It's linked in the description. Go to the top pinned post. Look where it says download my ebooks for free. Download the book Letters and Numbers. Skip to chapter 18 and read about the ritual killing of black celebrities in relation to the number 42. And there's a lot of examples of this. They pile up all the time. We got people like Amy at cracktheircode.org documenting the same types of things. She's catching stories even I'm missing. But this stuff's going on all the time. So here's a black woman dead on Ellen's 42nd week of her age, 42. And again, Jesuits 42. We got Jesuit fingerprints all over all this. And again, if you're new here, words like slavery, Tuskegee, the N-word, Martin, Malcolm X, they all equal 42. Motown, Detroit, black music on the 42nd parallel. So many 42s throughout history. The name Jackie equals 42. Of course, number 42. The first black baseball player in white major league was really Moses Walker, who played in 42 games. The name Moses Walker, 42. And again, that's the thing about forwards and backwards. Moses Walker, 42 forwards, and reverse Jackie, 42. You know, Huxtable, the Cosby Show, Huxtable, 42, as is Cosby Show. And there's a thing about 39 as well. There's a thing about black history in 39 as well. Again, Martin, 42, Malcolm X, 42. Both men dead at age 39. This woman's dead at age 39. And notice that with Jackie as well. You know, Jackie's got that 39. So another pattern. It's not quite as common as 42, but again, you'll see these numbers come together a lot. She's dead at 39 on the 42nd week of Ellen's age. And again, my theory is that it's all biblical. Old Testament, 39 books. The oldest Hebrew in the Old Testament's Methuselah, who's black. You know, the Hebrew Israelites have a lot to say about that. But, and then you also have the only physical description of Jesus, who was from Judea, Revelation 1:14, where it makes you think he's at least of somewhat African descent. And the New Testament begins with the 42 generations to Jesus. Anyhow. I have a lot of people that hate me because I always make that point. They're like, Zach's such a instigator and divider trying to make it seem like Jesus was black. Again, I'm not even saying that there ever was a Jesus. There's no historical record he ever existed. None at all. You know, seems to be as fictional as Where's Waldo. But the point is, the Jesuits who go by the Bible, who use the scripture as the script, seems to be kind of why they code these numbers on black history again and again. And don't take offense either because, I don't know, maybe the history is lost. Maybe Jesus is real. I'm just saying. A lot of people are on their knees waiting for Jesus while tyranny reigns on and doing nothing about it because all they can ever do is pray and wait for some savior. It's like, well, maybe if you actually got up off your knees and, you know, helped actually do something, we could actually stop this evil that is messing up so many people's lives. Again, that's why we're about action over here. It's about action. I mean, there's a place for faith and prayer, but again, there's just not enough action in the world. There's not enough people speaking up and trying to make a difference. So anyhow, 46 days left in the year, 62 days before the birthday. Also, with regards to the 319th day of the year, you might recall Prince had the song 319, died 319 days after his birthday, died on 4/21, had the song I Would Die For You with the number 4 and the letter U in the title when used the 21st letter. So I Would Die 4/21. He dies on that day 33 years after recording that song. The song was recorded in 83, the same year as the song Murder by Numbers, where Murder's 83. In satanic gematria, which is another cipher, killing does equal 319. Another pattern we've seen. And yeah, you just got to say, what are the odds? And again, people will say, well, she was dying from cancer. Yeah, she might very well have been dying from cancer. By the way, she was born in 83 as well. But it doesn't mean that she wasn't brought to a premature expiration by the numbers on the day she went out, you know? And it also doesn't mean that she wasn't somehow purposefully made sick to set up the timing of this ritual, because I do think something like that is going on in the world of entertainment in Hollywood. Again, you've had people that are the leaders of nations come out and tell you that there's a cancer weapon that exists. And you've seen so many of these celebrities die from cancer on the most perfect of days and the most perfect of rituals. You know, we just had the latest cancer death. The actress from Look Who's Talking and Cheers, dead from cancer on the day, leaving 26 days left in the year. Talked about that last week. Her name is escaping my mind right now. It's the dementia. But, yeah, if you missed yesterday's stream, again, just DJ 40. The DJ is dead at 40. Dead on the 322nd day of Ellen's age. Number highly associated with Kabbalah. The 46th week of her age. Just like the other woman who just passed. The day leaving 46 days left in the year. And Again, 201 days after the show concluded. The Jesuit Illuminati super number. And by the way, Argentina in the World Cup, as predicted, the day after the Pope's birthday, the first Jesuit Pope, the first to live in Suite 201. And go read the articles about Messi, the star player who's known as the Messiah, how he's staying in he's the first player from Argentina to break the team's tradition. He's not sleeping where the rest of the team is. He's sleeping in his own suite in Suite 201. I mean, again, you can see the way that they worship this number and perform rituals around it. But yes, this woman also, or not this woman, this man died supposedly from suicide, but 44 days before Ellen's upcoming birthday, and Ellen's 64 right now, kill 44 and 64, just like Anne Heche died on the date with 44 and 64 numerology 121 days before he did when Blood Sacrifice is 121. Again, this man's nickname tWitch was Fateful, 837934, like murder, 837934. The word suicide is also 34 and 47. His wife is 34 right now. He died on a date with 47 numerology. Again, there's that forwards and backwards thing. I mean, to nail both of them just so often, I mean, you're just talking about the slimmest of odds. But again, 34 is the 9th Fibonacci number, and part of the story was that he died right after the 9th anniversary of his wife's passing. And yeah, again, we covered all this yesterday. So, dead on his wife's 311th day of her age, the 64th prime, going with that kill thing, and Ellen being 64. And how about this headline right here from the New York Post? Steven Twitch boss danced in $4 million home days before dying. You might notice on the thumbnail also the woman, Rosalyn, who died, she's wearing a chain with the number 4 on it. 4, again, is the number associated with death. In the Far East, in Mandarin, Chinese, and Japanese, you pronounce the number 4 the same way you pronounce death. So look at this headline. Just days before he supposedly killed himself, he was having fun dancing with his children. Like, in what world does that make sense? And again, just to go back over Anne Heche, dead on the kill date. Once a month there's a kill date because the numerology will have at least 3 of the 4 values of kill. She died on the date with 64, 28, and 44 numerology. Kill 64, 44, 28. Alphabetic order, forwards and backwards with numerology. Very elementary code. And you might recall there were 2 actresses dead from another world at the same time. Anne Heche and also Robin Griggs. And again, another world, cervical cancer, Minnie Cooper, Anne Heche, they all equal 63. Again, she was loaded into police cruiser, or not police cruiser, but ambulance number 63. And you also had Sandy from Greece dead at the same time. But I just want to scroll down to the part from Ellen's birthday to the day she was taken off life support, 201st day, Ellen's age. So, anyhow, what are the odds? What are the odds? All right, Truth Seeker, we'll keep this one short and sweet. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thank you to everyone who hit the like and the share. And let me interact with the chat real quick before we sign off. KCG needs a wrench. She's always here with something nice to say. I think Itachi must have a new account. You can have a wrench too, Itachi. I don't know what happened to your... Oh, yeah, that's right. They deleted your account. Does anybody else have anything that I should be looking into for Ellen before I sign off? Is there anybody else attached to Ellen who's bit the dust in her time as an entertainer? Seems like there's always more, but let's It's too bad my sister doesn't follow my work. My sister's a huge Ellen fan. She would probably know. The problem is my sister's like the lady who left a comment. Forwards and backwards, you can probably connect anything. Joseph needs a wrench. I don't know how you don't have one. Joseph pounded payment with us in Detroit. And apparently Joseph's got something going on in his Facebook. Well, now that you have a wrench, Joseph, feel free to link your Facebook. Yeah, Kobe did die on her birthday. Yeah, Kobe did die on her birthday. Let's see if Ellen was raised Catholic. Let's check. Was she raised Catholic? The latest enemy of Catholicism is Ellen DeGeneres. Yeah, we might have to look into Ellen's upbringing and who her parents might have been. She gets a lot of criticism from the Catholics these days. Yeah, Grant Wall just died in the Big 44 ritual, and he was from Mission, Kansas. Yeah, Ellen does look a little bit Jewish. I do concur. Again, it's a reminder the Jesuits were created by Jews who converted to Catholicism. Yeah, it's always funny when people who learn gematria from me accuse me of copying them. It's like, okay, these people are out of their mind. All right, well, I'm scanning the chat. 208 Production says, Twitch's death came 191 days after the anniversary of the release of the streaming app Twitch. Again, for people who are new here, Society of Jesus has that Gematria 191. His birth name, Stephen Boss, also has the 56 like Society of Jesus. And the news broke the day after his death, and I guess it's 12/14. 12/14 has that 191 as well. Interesting. Twitch is a platform that banned me as well, and all I ever put on there were my live streams from the corner, educating about why people better not get the clot shot. But for the person who says, why can't I be wrenched? Again, I give out wrenches pretty easy. Just whenever I see people making great contributions in the chat, I just hand out a wrench. I say, well, let's give that person the ability to leave a link if they need to leave one. So if you want a wrench, just start leaving some great comments. I don't always have my eyes on the chat, so you got to do it when I'm looking. But Ellen versus Anderson Cooper. I would put my money on Ellen. Anderson Cooper is a very tiny man. I have seen him in person back in 2004 when he was on the Arizona State campus for the presidential debate. He is a teeny tiny. Amy's got a decode. Thank you, Amy. Let's see what Amy's got. Amy does great decodes and pays me for them. I always feel bad about that. Amy says, NCIS is mourning the director who died at age 76. Another example to add to the sacrifice list. Raised by Mary and Joseph. How fitting. Terrence O'Hara was the name. 76. Dead at 76. And Skull and Bones' nickname is the Brotherhood of Death, so she's shown how his name overlaps with Skull and Bones and its nickname, The Brotherhood of Death. Died 20 days before his birthday for another death theme. And he was in old 444 episodes. Very special number in Sumerian Gematria. Dead 73 days after the anniversary of the show. Again, ritual sacrifice and sacrifice 73. Yeah. Here, let's read the lyrics. There's just so many songs, but again, I know I'm redundant. I heard this song yesterday, and I was just listening extra careful, and I just heard some things in this song, and I'm just going to read the lyrics. Again, it starts with him talking. He says, a lot of sharks out there trying to take a bite of something. What's hot? Lots of chameleons out there trying to change up. Anytime something new comes along, everybody wants a bite. It doesn't happen overnight. And then the chorus comes, so you want to be a rock superstar and live large, a big house, 5 cars, you're in charge, coming up in the world, don't trust nobody, got to look over your shoulder constantly. And again, celebrities, I mean, I don't know any other profession that has a more likely premature age of death destined for it. It seems like celebrity is the deadliest profession in the world, far and away. So then the song goes on. I remember the days when I was a young kid growing up, looking in the mirror, dreaming about blowing up. The rock crowds, make money, chill with the honeys, sign autographs and whatever the people want from me. Shit's funny how impossible dreams manifest. And the games that be coming with it, nevertheless. You got to go for the gusto. But you don't know about the blood, sweat, and tears and losing some of your peers. Losing some of your peers. I mean, he kind of just leaves it there. He doesn't really fill you in, but start to pay attention to what goes on in the world of entertainment. It's like, okay, I see what he's talking about. And losing some of yourself to the years past gone by. Hopefully it don't manifest for the wrong guy. Egomaniac and the brainiac don't know how to act. Shit's deep. 48-track studio Gangsta Max signed the deal. I've got to look more into the 48-track thing. We know that's a huge number with the Illuminati, 48. Think he's going to make a mill, but never will till he crosses over. Still, filling your head with fantasies. Come with me, show the sacrifice it takes to make the G's. What's he mean there by crossing over? You're not going to make the mill until you cross over. What does crossing over mean? And he's talking about showing the sacrifice? Is that what you got to cross over to? You got to decide to go that route? Okay, I'm ready to be on the big stage. Goodbye to mom. Don't forget Kanye. Kanye coming out on the 15-year anniversary of the death of his mom. And both Illuminati and Kanye West equal 120, the 15th triangular number. You want to be a rock superstar in the biz and take shit from people who don't know what it is? I wish it was all fun and games, but the price of fame is high. That's as far as I'm going to read, really. I mean, there's more into the song, but the price is high. And it looks like the price for most of these people is you better give up somebody right next to you. Or maybe somehow you get to put it off. I will give up the lives eventually. Just let me do this much so far, and then you can have that person. Ellen had the death early in her life, and then this year, at pretty much the end of her TV career, all these bodies died to her. And isn't it so interesting? Again, the first death connected to her when she was 22 years old. Now in the year 22, 3 deaths connected to her. 3, 2, 2, and the last one comes on her 322nd day of her age. How do you get more Kabbalistic than that? Again, Genesis 3:2:2. What's it say? What is Genesis 3:2:2 say? The man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and live forever. What is the tree of life? Again, the physical model for Kabbalah, 3 paths, 22 pillars. So we'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. Again, thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. And I did just upload a video right before this too, if you didn't get the notification, just about Putin coming out and threatening the U.S., saying, don't you dare deliver those Patriot missiles to Ukraine. And again, predictably, just like how the war began when he was 69, if you missed that video, go back and watch it. But he made the announcement 69 days after his birthday. Like we talked about earlier this year, they were doing the Patriot missiles rituals with Poland, which is another big fat 201. But Vladimir Putin is also 69 in that most pure cipher. So how perfect that he issues the threat to America 69 days after his birthday. Yeah, in Gematria, you learn the code, you just see through so much. All right, everyone, have a good night. If you're in that part of the world, have a great day. And until next time.